Child abuse is the physical, sexual, or emotional maltreatment or neglect of a child or children. Child abuse is any act or series of acts of commission or omission by a parent or other caregiver that results in harm, potential for harm, or threat of harm to a child. Abuse leaves indelible marks on the child throughout his or her life. Individuals who suffered from abuse as children are at greater risk for chronic illness, poor mental and emotional health, alcohol and drug abuse, and display abusive or violent behavior patterns. Physical abuse, the deliberate infliction of serious injuries or actions that place the child at obvious risk of serious injury or death. In physical abuse, unlike physical forms of discipline, the violence is unpredictable, anger-motivated, and uses fear to control the behavior. Physical touch is more aggressive and stems from a desire to assert control, not lovingly teach the child. Warning signs of physical abuse in children. Frequent injuries or unexplained bruises, welts, or cuts. Is always watchful and on alert. Injuries appear to have a pattern, such as marks from a hand or belt. Shies away from touch, flinches at sudden movements, or seems afraid to go home. Wears inappropriate clothing to cover up injuries, such as long sleeves on a hot day. Sexual abuse refers to the participation of a child in a sexual act aimed toward the physical gratification or the financial profit of the person committing the act. It's important to recognize that sexual abuse doesn't always involve body contact. Sexual abuse includes exposing a child to sexual stimuli, having the child be the direct target of sexual activity, and inappropriate viewing or photographing of a child's genitalia. Warning signs include trouble walking or sitting, displays knowledge or interest in sexual acts inappropriate to his or her age, makes strong efforts to avoid a specific person without an obvious reason, doesn't want to change clothes in front of others or participate in physical activities, an STD or pregnancy, especially under the age of 14, runs away from home. Emotional abuse is any attitude or behavior which interferes with a child's mental health or social development. This includes name-calling, downward comparisons, and lack of attention and or affection. Warning signs include excessively withdrawn, fearful or anxious about doing something wrong, shows extremes in behavior, like extremely compliant or extremely demanding, extremely passive or extremely aggressive, doesn't seem to be attached to the parent or caregiver, frequent psychosomatic complaints, headaches, nausea, abdominal pains, etc., acts either inappropriately adult or inappropriately infantile. Child neglect is the failure of a caregiver to provide needed food, clothing, shelter, medical care, or supervision to the degree that the child's health, safety, and well-being are being threatened with harm. Warning signs include clothes that are ill-fitting, filthy, or inappropriate for the weather, hygiene is constantly bad, untreated illness and physical injuries, extremely over or underweight, is frequently unsupervised or left alone or allowed to play in unsafe situations and environments, is frequently late or missing from school. No proof of abuse or neglect is needed, only reasonable suspicion that child abuse or neglect may have occurred. If you are at all concerned about the possibility of abuse or neglect, you should report. Investigations are conducted by law enforcement and or the County Child Welfare Department to determine if abuse or neglect has occurred. Mandated reporters may take photos without parent consent, but only for the purpose of documenting or investigating child abuse or neglect. The law enforcement officer and or county child welfare worker investigating the case will have your name. Your identity cannot be disclosed to the family or anyone else not directly involved in the investigation of the case. The majority of cases do not go to trial. When they do, the identity of the professional can be concealed, even if they are asked to testify. It is important to remember that the testimony may be essential for the protection of the child. As long as the report is made in good faith, the mandated reporter is legally protected from civil or criminal lawsuits. No individual can be dismissed, disciplined, or harassed for making a report of suspected child abuse. Call to report child abuse or missing children. Forms and information can also be found online. Mandated reporters help make it safer for children so they can enjoy the childhood they deserve.
Created using Powtoon.